Welcome. Brad's house. Nothing special. Just another dump in Long Beach.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
Oh, welcome back, guys. As much as I'd want to watch Jerry Springer and the midget strippers, I got stuff to do. So come on, let's get some stuff done. You guys know we're not boat guys, right? I'm definitely not a boat guy. This is a good friend of mine's boat. You guys have all seen it on my Instagram. We got to go to the river a few weekends ago, and we're going back to the lake this weekend. For starters, this is a 1974 Eliminator, and I believe it's a 19 foot. It's a little guy. Jet boat with a Chevy big block. Trust me, I have asked and over to rip this stupid big block off and rip it out and put an LS with twin turbos on here. But my friend said no. We gotta keep it nostalgic, gotta keep it 74 and OG. So there's a good chance we're gonna be ripping this motor out and building a nasty big block for her and making her sing. But forget this boat stuff. I want to thank TCS Converters out in Lake Havasu. They built me one sick ass torque converter for the T-bucket. And this one right here particularly pertains to our race that we just went on. It's from Motion Raceworks. Backstory, we'll talk about the car. The car went 650, which is slow for me. We beat John. And one pass, we almost ran into John.
Straight out of control, self-proclaimed asshole. And I am what I am.
Yeah, that wasn't no good. Problem was, it was leaking water. It was leaking water onto that tire. So when you leak water onto that tire, this tire gets sticky and the car goes this way. And if you look at all the videos, I'm basically fighting it to counter steer from it losing traction under this tire. What happened, if we want to come around here, I'll show you. Problem was, freeze plug. This glorious little guy right here. Let's not use the bad finger because you guys like to make fun of the shorty, so we'll use a good finger. This is an 1.25 inch, that's the diameter from here to here, brass plug that blocks the water from going through the motor. And what they use these for, I'll show you where it goes. This is the cylinder head. This little plug is this guy right here. Okay, they pull these out so that when they're cleaning the heads after machining and when you get them repaired, that all the water jackets, the areas where this water goes through, can get clean. So it's just basically a service area. It's to service the heads is why this gets removed and why they have these in heads. You'll hear a lot about these things rotting out on cast iron motors because the plug is cast iron and they actually rot out and leak. Jeeps have that problem. They're just notorious for freeze plugs. This happens to be an aluminum head with a brass freeze plug. So a lot of times what happens here is the heat expansion of the head, so the aluminum is expanding when it gets hot, is expanding at a different rate than this brass. So they try to make the brass so that it's tight and it squeezes in there and it fits tight. So even if this aluminum gets hotter, it can't woggle itself or get out, but it happens. That night that we were at the burn yard, we happened to get this motor to 308 degrees. And when we got it to 308 degrees, we pretty much lost a lot of the oil pressure. And it wasn't because it didn't have a good oil pump, it was just because the oil was so hot it couldn't create pressure. So when we hit the BMW and did the big burnout, we lost this plug right out of here, back of the motor, just fell down, and all that water came out onto me and Matt. So we got like steam bath real quick. And it was funny, we were laughing about it, it was a joke. It basically hits the firewall. This is the firewall. It sits right there. This is to protect you from the motor. And that hit right here. Hit the plug, went down, all the water, and we got nice and steamy. Had this plug not leaked, we probably would have got better traction. We possibly could have gotten a lot better times. And I might not have had to take that wild ride and change my underwear. let's get on and work on fixing this problem today so that we don't ever have to do that. So, thank you, Carl, on Instagram, 562 Wrecking Crew Racing. He sent me a link to motionraceworks.com. I instantly looked it up and I was super impressed. I mean, these guys do every billet part you can imagine for LS. Okay. Now this little guy right here goes just like this. Now you bolt that on, you're not gonna get a heat-soaked bath like I did. So what's happening is I'm running into boost creep, which is my motor is actually producing over like 17 pounds of boost, and I really want to keep it around 12 because I'm getting pressure into my cooling system, and my cooling system is, that's the first thing to blow out is that right there. I honestly need 6 stud heads, I need better head gaskets, I need a 6 stud block, or I need to lower the boost that I'm running into the motor so that I'm not punishing the insides of the motor so bad. Which we're gonna go over these guys in the next video, and we're going to talk about how we're gonna prevent going over 12 PSI. But in this video, we're just gonna fix one problem at a time, and that is these guys. All right guys, so got my freeze plug. And so my little trick to this is make sure it's clean and dry, which it is. I don't ever use any sealants or lubricants on this stuff. And then I find a deep socket, preferably the black ones, because you know they're like hardened and you can hit on them and they usually don't mess up. And I find it the size of the freeze plug. So it fits inside of the freeze plug, so when I smack on it right here, it's gonna go in hopefully straight. Another thing is I'm hitting on this with a brass hammer. So all you guys think that I'm gonna damage the socket, this hammer is actually softer than the socket, so when I hit it, I'm not gonna damage the socket. And I tapped it in just a little bit deeper than the surface. And now I'm gonna put the preventer on. That was the leaky one. Now we're going to install the one that didn't fall out. So now we have these plugs set up. We're ready to reinstall the transmission, but before we reinstall the transmission, we are taking the torque converter and we're sending it back to our buddies in Havasu. Before, our torque converter was super loose. We would give it gas and the car would rev to probably 35 to almost 3,800 RPMs, which was really high before we would leave, and it was knocking the tires loose. It was just way too high in the RPM. So when we rebuilt the transmission with you guys last time, we had pulled the tranny out and got the torque converter rebuilt, we had it tightened up, meaning it's gonna actually lock up at 2,200 RPMs. Now, that happened to be a little too low. And in my head, I was thinking I was low, but the car is super light. It's 1,950 pounds. I'm gonna repeat that so everybody asks. The car is 1,950 pounds with me in it. And we made 1,000 horsepower. I was assuming that 2,200 would be about perfect to just get her out of the hole, and it wasn't. So we are going to now take that 2,200 torque converter and bring it up to 28, just under the 3,000 mark. And that'll give us that kick that'll get out of the hole. As well as not leaking water under the back tires, should be able to keep us on rails going straight. And I say rails like everybody understands what rails is. That's not drugs you're doing. That's like the railroad track. And the railroad track's the drag strip and it goes straight down. And if your car handles right, it goes straight down like it's on rails. And this car normally does that. It was very scary. I had to bring an extra pair of pants the last trip, but we got her down the track and we're not gonna do that again. Thank God Simpson gave me some really good seat belts and kept me in the car, because if I would have hit the wall, I'd probably been okay. We were caged in here, as you guys can tell, but that wasn't fun, not at all. We're gonna get a new converter, we're gonna put that back in. We're gonna change the oil, change the spark plugs, redo a compression check on the motor so that we have everything written down to find out where we are. I do know for a fact that this motor is on its soon-to-be last leg. As you guys know, on that last burn show, we sent it a lot harder than I probably should have, and I keep doing that because I'm a dummy. Yeah, we're gonna get another motor together, and I plan on doing it for you guys so you can see how we build these things in the garage. I am having CPR, our good boys over there, do most of the machine work and the pre-assembly, and then we're gonna be stuffing it in the car and getting ready to go to the dyno again. Stay tuned on this car because we're almost there. We are almost to the 5 seconds. And Cletus, we're coming for you. I already got Ruby in the bag. Leroy's who I'm worried about. As you've seen, the boat's going out this weekend. Carburetor's going on it. And we're gonna go party. Thank you guys for all following. Thank you guys for all watching. High fives and hangouts anytime you guys want. T-Bucket, it's going to the track in 2 weeks. So in timeline for when you guys are probably gonna see this, it'll probably be that week. I'm just telling you that right now. We're sitting in front of the car that I miss the most, you guys. This is the Caddy. You guys all see me do the hot boy stuff to it when we were at Hoonigan's. We put them nice weld wheels on. We put the excellent E-Box springs. We put the MagnaFlow exhaust that, oh my God, sounded incredible, and an AFE intake. And that was great. I mean, fantastic. I was super happy. If I was the typical hot boy, fuck boy, right off the shelf boy, that's probably be good enough for me. But it's not. It never is. It's never fast enough and it's never enough. Luckily, these great guys at ZZ Performance, thanks Tim, we've been able to do what's called their Stage 3 kit. That's not a Stage 3 exclusive to Brad kit. That's a Stage 3 kit to everybody. You can go online, click to ZZ Performance, and you can get the Stage 3 kit. Now, this is a full hot boy kit. This comes with cams, that's 2 of them, bigger turbo, bigger front mount intercooler, all the piping, and even a bigger, faster, better intake system. So now, this bad girl's got a set of comp cams that were made specifically for ZZ Performance specs, JE pistons, everybody knows JE, one of those fancy names, and I believe they're ZZ Performance connecting rods. Now, I don't know who they buy them from, but they looked a lot like Crowler rods to me. They're an H-beam rod, they're really, really nice. So, instead of stuffing all those parts in a worn out 138,000 mile motor, I went to the junkyard and got me another donor motor. That's right, donor motors for these cars are just under $1,000. That's complete running motor. I got that motor, had it disassembled by our good guys at CPR. The same guys that are helping us out with the T-Bucket are also helping us out with this 4-cylinder. And you want to talk about some grumpy fucks. Alright CPR, I know you don't like 4-cylinders, but Jesus man, it's going to be fast. So anyways, the good guys over there give me shit about running on a 4-cylinder, and they're doing all the machine work and assembly for a brand new 0-mile Cadillac CTS 2. I'm not even going to tell you what it is, but it's 2-point plus turbo motor. And that should be being installed next week, next show. So we're done dealing with the T-Bucket. T-Bucket's going back together. All you're going to hear about is fast times and me beating John. And the Cadillac is going to be our focus of attention because that is the next car in line. We are going to be putting that badass motor in it, and I have a feeling we're going to be over 500 rear wheel horsepower. So get ready for that. This car in this setup right now, I believe our best times, and we can cut back to it, was a 780 in the 8th mile, and we were beating Kakawa, which was the Tesla. So there might be some times somewhere on the internet of it going a little faster, but we won't talk about that. She's undercover, she's ready to go, and she's ready to break some hearts. So everybody that's been waiting for the ATS commented about the ATS. It's coming. And there might be some other secrets that I'm not talking about yet. And I don't know, you know how Brad is. Born on the boob, lives on the bottle. You know? Sorry guys, it's the truth.